What is poppin'? What is going on, YouTube world? My name is Ghiman McKinney, or you can just call me Juice because that's my nickname. Alright, appreciate you guys for watching today. Be sure to smash this like button right about now, as it does help these videos get out to the public and the channel to grow overall. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos weekly, and almost every single day if I can, and turn on post notifications too, so you don't miss a single one of those videos that I post. It's only right, you guys. Man, crazy madness went down last night on Thursday Night Football between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, Myles Garrett, if you have been hiding underneath a rock, he is suspended indefinitely. He's going to miss the rest of the season. He will be out for the remainder of the playoffs if the Browns were to sneak in and get there. Larry Ogunjobi is suspended for 1 game, and Maurkice Pouncey is suspended 1 game as well. There's a big fight that went on between Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph is not suspended, however. He is looking to potentially get fined by the NFL. You know, the NFL's kind of looking into Mason Rudolph's punishment, but for now, Mason Rudolph is not going to be suspended. So it's just a lot of things that went on, but my biggest takeaway, beside the suspension, I'll get to that in a little bit, is, man, the Cleveland Browns just cannot seem to do anything right, guys. I mean, Cleveland's been so dysfunctional all year. They've just been a mess all year, and this continues tonight. And what better team to happen to this suspension with Myles Garrett than the Cleveland Browns and obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know last year they missed the playoffs, but they were a noisy team last year, you know, with Antonio Brown, Big Ben Roethlisberger, and now the drama continues between two very noisy teams in the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, but to get into the suspension, look, Myles Garrett is going to be out for the rest of the year and the playoffs if the Browns get there, like I said. And my takeaway on the suspension is, look, I understand the suspension. I really do. Myles Garrett, obviously, he hit Mason Rudolph in his head with his helmet, okay? So Mason Rudolph did not have a helmet on. You know, Myles Garrett went there, struck him in the side of the head with his helmet. That's very violent. It was very hard to watch, you know. And I understand Myles Garrett getting suspended. You know, I personally thought that this is what the NFL was going to do, because the NFL cares about their image. They care about player safety. And if Myles Garrett is hitting people in the head with a helmet, he, for one, deserves to be suspended, and also, two, the NFL is not going to let that go unnoticed, okay? Now, personally, for me, I would have suspended Myles Garrett for about 4 or 6 games. 4 to 6 games for me is what I would have personally done. For me, I would have leaned toward 4, and I'll explain why. Listen, I get it. The play was unnecessary. The play was pretty much over. Myles Garrett hit Mason Rudolph, the starting quarterback for the Steelers, in the helmet. I get it. The NFL cares about player safety. But at the same time, I feel like the NFL had to suspend Mason Rudolph as well, and they haven't, at least so far. And I'll explain why I feel that way. Listen, when you actually go back and watch that play very closely, and I watched the play over and over, okay? I watched the play over and over, and I don't have any bias toward any team. I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm not a Browns fan, okay? But Mason Rudolph, when you actually look at it from a very close angle, Mason Rudolph was the one that initiated the fight. If you look very, very closely, if you look very closely at the scum and the pile, Mason Rudolph attempted to take off Myles Garrett's helmet when Myles Garrett was pushing him to the ground, okay? And so Myles Garrett, in return, decides to take Mason Rudolph's helmet off, which was a dumb decision by Myles Garrett. By the way, I'm not absolving Myles Garrett of what he did, because what he did was very violent and wrong, but we have to call it a spade a spade. I'm very, I take into account keeping it real on this channel, okay? And so Garrett was being held back by his teammates. The play was being blown dead, and then Mason Rudolph charges Myles Garrett. Then that's when Myles Garrett hits Mason Rudolph in the head. And I get it. Like I said, Myles Garrett should have been suspended multiple games. For me, it would have been 4 to 6 games if I was making the decision. I have no problem with the suspension that Myles Garrett has, but I just feel like the reaction is a tad bit overboard by social media, by the media overall. It's just one of those things where Mason Rudolph started the fight. You can clearly see that the play was being blown dead, and Mason Rudolph charges Myles Garrett, and Mason Rudolph tried to take Myles Garrett's helmet off. This is a life lesson right here. If you start a fight with someone, meaning Mason Rudolph, if you start a fight with Myles Garrett, if you try to take Myles Garrett's helmet off, if you charge Myles Garrett after the play is over, do not be shocked by Myles Garrett's reaction. Meaning what I'm saying, do not be surprised if you start a fight with someone. Do not be surprised if they try to give you the smoke right back. do not be shocked because you started the fight. Now again, what Myles Garrett did to Mason Rudolph was much more egregious and violent, so I would have suspended him more games. But I really am disappointed in the fact that the NFL did not suspend Mason Rudolph at least one game. But again, I don't have a problem with them suspending Myles Garrett for the amount of time that they did, just because it was such a violent act that he, created. It was such a violent act of him, throwing his helmet at, Mason Rudolph. But I also want to, talk to my subscribers and my followers and who's ever viewing this video. If Cam Newton had started a fight with Myles Garrett and tried to take his helmet off and charge Myles Garrett after the play's been blown dead, if Deshaun Watson did that, if Colin Kaepernick did that, if, Lamar Jackson did that, would the headlines be, man, Myles Garrett should go to jail? Myles Garrett is this dirty player. Obviously, there would still be some people that feel that way because Myles Garrett, he tried to, he hit Mason Rudolph in his helmet, not in his helmet, he hit Mason Rudolph in his head. Obviously, there's still going to be some people that feel that way. But I feel like that people would be saying, if Cam Newton or Deshaun or Dwayne Haskins or someone like that, for obvious reasons I'm mentioning those specific quarterbacks, okay, you guys can figure that out. If they did that, the headline would probably be, Cam Newton is immature. Cam Newton should not be trying to take Myles Garrett's helmet off. Oh, why is Cam Newton charging Myles Garrett? Why is Deshaun Watson charging Myles Garrett and going after him after the play is being blown dead? So I'm just going to throw that out there. That's the only thing I'm going to throw out there. I'm not trying to get into a big argument about that. I'm just saying. Okay, but either way, I would have suspended Myles Garrett for about 6 games or 4 games just because I feel like the overreaction is just too over the top, and we're not punishing, Mason Rudolph for him actually initiating and starting the fight. Because if Mason Rudolph does not charge Myles Garrett right there, then we're not even talking about that. Okay, so we have to go based on what happened. Okay, but either way, Myles Garrett, that's a dumb move by him. He never should have, thrown his helmet at Mason Rudolph. He never should have initiated the contact. After that, you should just, live for another day. It's at the end of the game, Myles Garrett. What are you doing? That's such a dumb move. I mean, this man, Freddie Kitchens, he's over his head, man. If the Browns continue to lose games, I would not be shocked that Freddie Kitchens is fired. This team is undisciplined. This team is just a mess. And Mike Tomlin, too. What does it say about his team? What does it say about their players' character? This team's a mess. The Browns are a mess. The Steelers are a mess. I know some people want to tell me that the Steelers are well run. And to me, I think the Steelers are, to some degree, pretty well run. But there's something to be said about their locker room and their discipline. And same thing with the Browns. This is ridiculous. So, again, Pouncey gets suspended. I don't have a problem with Pouncey getting suspended. I actually feel Pouncey is a real one for, protecting his quarterback, Mason Rudolph, because let's be real here. If, someone on the opposing team hits my quarterback in the helmet, with his helmet in the head, okay, if I'm Pouncey, I'm probably going to go after that guy. Now, where Pouncey was wrong was when Pouncey started to, throw kicks and punches at Myles Garrett, who was indefenseless on the ground. Okay, when Marquise Pouncey decided to, start kicking Myles Garrett, punching him, that's where Pouncey went wrong. I have no problem with Pouncey getting suspended 3 games. Ogunjobi, he was involved. He at least maybe should get a punishment. I do expect Mason Rudolph to probably get a fine just because the NFL probably is thinking to themselves, we probably need to do something about Mason Rudolph either way, even though he was struck in the head with the helmet. So that's my thing. And then another thing, I get the NFL is all about player safety, but when a baseball pitcher throws 100 miles an hour at a batter's head, you know what they do? They usually get a warning from the officials. They're not going to miss the remainder of the baseball season, or at least 3/4 of the rest of their season. The same thing with hockey. Hockey, fights happen all the time. Violent fights. People are throwing sticks at each other. And they do not miss those amount of games equivalent to an NFL season. Missing about the remainder of the season for the NFL season is missing 25% of the season. In baseball and hockey and these other sports, that just doesn't happen. Again, it was just a mess. I feel for Mason Rudolph, I'm actually happy that he did not get permanently damaged and hurt, because Myles Garrett's a strong guy. If he were to strike, Mason Rudolph in the crown of his head, he did strike him on the side of his head with the helmet, Mason Rudolph is probably going to be knocked out cold. And Mason Rudolph, man, he's just not a smart dude. Why are you going at Myles Garrett without a helmet on? People in football fight all the time, but without a helmet, I mean, come on, Mason Rudolph. Rookie mistake, obviously, by Mason Rudolph. I think Mason Rudolph's a decent quarterback. He did not play well versus the Browns on Thursday Night Football. He didn't play well at all. He turned the football over multiple times. He looked bad. He was terrible. Great win for the Browns. It really was. Baker Mayfield probably played one of his best games all year. Baker did throw a touchdown to Jarvis Landry. He did rush for a touchdown. Baker was pretty efficient tonight versus a very good Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I applaud the Steelers defense for, really getting together. This defense is a top 5 defense in the NFL right now. Devin Bush has played well. The Minkah Fitzpatrick trade has really worked out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. TJ Watt's an absolute monster. I mean, this Pittsburgh Steelers defense is now a legitimate defense. The only problem is that you don't have Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell anymore, and Juju Smith-Schuster was out for the game. Well, he was out for the game. He did leave the game. I believe he got injured in the game. He had to leave. So Pittsburgh offensively has been challenged this year. They are in the playoff race because of that defense. The team has been riding. The defense is back. But when the defense, gives up over 20 points, the Steelers are probably going to struggle to win games. They just don't have the requisite weapons. And I like Mason Rudolph. I do. Despite him playing so badly last night, I think Mason Rudolph has a lot of talent. But this Pittsburgh Steelers team has just been challenged offensively all year. And versus a pretty good Browns defense on the road in the cold, I did not expect the Steelers to win this game. I actually picked the Browns to win this game, so good win for Cleveland. But a huge blow to their team. Ogunjobi's going to be out for a game. He will miss the Dolphins game. The Dolphins are not very good, even though they are playing better as of late. The Browns should be the Dolphins. But when I look at the Browns' upcoming schedule, I don't think the Browns make the playoffs. I don't think they make the playoffs, especially now that Myles Garrett is going to be out for the remainder of the season. I just don't see Cleveland at 4-6 right now. Even if they were to run the table, it's still up in the air with teams like the Colts, teams like the Raiders, teams like the Bills potentially getting into the playoffs. The Browns get the Dolphins next. They get the Steelers on the road again. That's probably a loss. They get the Bengals. They get the Cardinals on the road. They get the Ravens again, who look like the best team in football. And then at Cincinnati. To me, the fact that Myles Garrett is out for the season is really, really going to hurt the Browns. I know their defense has been good all year, despite having Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward miss some time. They did play last night, by the way. I just don't think Cleveland's just too inconsistent of a team to get into the playoffs, in my opinion. Teams like the Raiders and the Bills, if I had to bet my money, I believe the Bills and the Raiders are going to get the final wild card spot. The Bills have the Dolphins coming up. They have the Broncos coming up. They have the Cowboys on the road coming up. They have the Ravens. They have at Pittsburgh, at the Patriots, and then the Jets at home. I know that's a little bit of a tough stretch, but the Bills already are at 6-3, so they have the advantage on teams like Cleveland and Oakland already. I just think based on general principle, the Bills will get into the playoffs. I don't think the Bills are a great team. They've yet to beat a team that's actually good. But Buffalo, they've gotten off to a good enough start to where if they lose a game or two, they can still make up ground. As far as the Raiders go, I've been riding the Raiders bandwagon for a while, saying they're going to make the playoffs because they face the Bengals, they face the Jets on the road, they face the Chiefs on the road, they face the Titans, they face the Jaguars, they face the Chargers, and they face the Broncos. The Broncos and Chargers games are road games. But again, when we look at the final 6 games for the Raiders, only 2 of them are they not going to be favorites in. So the Raiders, I see them finishing 10-6, and I see Buffalo finishing anywhere from 10-6. I see Cleveland finishing at least 9-7. I just don't think Cleveland gets in this year. So again, Browns fans, the losses to the Titans early, the loss to the Rams early on is really going to hurt you. It's just a mess how Cleveland is. Again, great win for Cleveland, but again, they're not making the playoffs, especially now that Myles Garrett is such a great contributor to their defense and may have been the defensive player of the year this year. Now that he's out, they're not going to make the playoffs. I feel bad for, I don't feel bad for Myles Garrett because he should have never hit Mason Rudolph in the helmet. That's a very violent act. I don't condone that on anyone. I hope that Myles Garrett really reflects on the decision he made to strike Mason Rudolph in the head with the helmet, because that's just an egregious act. It's a very violent act, something very violent on the football field that I do not want to see on my television screen. But again, I would not have suspended Myles Garrett for the remainder of the season and indefinitely and for the playoffs if the Browns were to get there, just because I feel like that is something to be said for him defending himself after he did not start the fight. So that's how I feel about the situation. I do believe Mason Rudolph should have been suspended. Pouncey did get the right amount of games. Ogunjobi is whatever. But again, bad look for the Browns, bad look for the Steelers. But hey, it was chaos. And again, chaos at times is maybe fun to watch. But I'm not saying it was fun to watch Mason Rudolph getting hurt. But either way, that's it. That's all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video today. Be sure to smash this like button right now if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos weekly and almost every single day if I can. A fun fact about me is I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world. I want to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. Kind of like Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp. You get the point. Okay, I want to do sports, television, and radio for a full living once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. So the best thing you guys can do to just help me continue to grow as a young broadcaster is to just share this channel with all your friends, because potentially if this channel really gets somewhere, I want to start my own network, okay? Or potentially if it doesn't, or if I fall a little bit short, I want to go into a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. So the best thing you guys can do to just flat out just help me grow as a broadcaster, help me learn, get other people hip to this channel, just share this channel with all your friends, share this channel on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. Also, be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. And once again, guys, just share this channel with everyone you know. Get everyone hipped and watching these videos. Get my voice out there and heard. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. It's been your boy, Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in today. I really do. Have a God bless day. Stay motivated, you guys, and I'm out.